What is going on, guys? It is Nozo with another video. So I did notice that the other beginner video was doing quite well, and I figured that a follow-up video would be a good thing to do. And in this video we're gonna go over 5 tips that will allow you to improve at a faster rate than you currently are. So here goes, but before I get into it, I gotta ask, if you enjoy the content, hit me with a sub and hit the notification bar so that you know when these things drop. You feel me? Let's get into it. Okay, so I'd say number 1 would be stop being afraid to lose. Okay, and what I mean by this is that at the beginning stages you are not going to be good. All right, hell, I've been playing the game since it dropped and I still ain't that good in my opinion. you know Being afraid to lose means that whenever you take a loss, you don't understand, you're not taking into account what you have done wrong. You're always first to blame the character, saying that it's too strong, saying that it's stupid. But when you embrace the loss, I know it's weird, but when you embrace the loss, then you're able to look at it from further out standpoint and be like, okay, what can I do to improve? A lot of times people who stay casual, let's call it that, they end up with this mentality, oh, this character is cheap, you know what, I'm not gonna play this game anymore, I'm gonna go play COD, or worse yet, I'm gonna go play Dark Souls. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the time we end up getting these scenarios where we're so angry at our loss that we don't exactly learn from it. And I say it's a very important thing to take the time to stop and say, hey, okay, I understand that this character is ridiculous and Happy Chaos is ridiculous, but what can I do to mitigate that? Because I know my opponent is not perfect, so how can I use his imperfections to beat him? And it's a tough thing to do, and it's not an easy thing to do, but it will definitely help you improve. Your mindset helps you to improve in your gameplay, so just keep that in mind as we go on to the next one. So the next tip that I have for you guys is to use training mode. I know, again, these are tips that are very underrated, okay? So the reason why I tell you to use your training mode, it's there, okay? Now, there's going to be times where your opponent is going to take advantage of the lack of knowledge that you have. Again, once you have gotten past the mindset of losing, you're like, okay, I've lost this set. Now let's see what the opponent has been doing. It may take you some time to understand what to do in the training mode, but there are videos on how to use the Guilty Gear Strive training mode, okay, or any training mode for fighting games in general. You'll find things that will help you understand the training mode better. Okay, once you have a little bit better of an understanding, you'll record, you'll see what the opponent did, you'll record it, you'll repeat it, and then you'll go through a different gauntlet of ideas. It's like kind of like brainstorming. Okay, so once you've recorded the opponent doing what they did to you, then you'll go through a different set of brainstorming. Okay, can I press this button, can I press this button, should I do this special move? Kind of just keep trying different things and see what works against the enemies so that it does not happen to you again. So that ideally, if you get into that match again, or you get into that or you're playing your friend again, you now know the tools, or you now have the tools in order to combat what they were doing to you. This is very important, and that is why the first one is so important, the fact that you get past your salty mentality and go into the learning mentality. So the next piece of advice that I have for you is to take advantage of the high gameplay channels we have here on YouTube. These channels, GGST High Gameplay, Game Storage CH, these are all channels where they have a whole bunch of Guilty Gear Strive players at the highest level, or the seemingly highest level. play against each other. Now, the reason why this is good for you is the fact that you get to see what your character can really do at like the highest level of play. And then you're like, there's some things that will be a little bit more nuanced and a little bit difficult to implement into your gameplay, but there are common things that you'll see the player of your character do that you can also implement into your gameplay that is fairly simple in nature, right? You notice that, oh, this guy is using down triangle a lot. Maybe I should implement using 2K a little bit more into my gameplay, because I noticed that it's working out a lot more for him. Previously, you may have had the assumption that a certain button is not as good for X reasons, and then you see them use it and you're like, okay, maybe I should experiment more with this button, and it essentially expands the limitations that you previously had on the character, and it will allow you to improve in that regard. So for this next piece of advice, this one is a little bit more difficult, I'll admit, and this one will take you quite a bit of time to really understand it and implement it, but it's very important that you learn 3 things, okay? One of them will be the startup frames, another will be recovery frames, and the last one will be on block, okay? I'll refer to on block in the last one, but startup frames refers to how long it takes for a certain move to come out, okay, to start being an actual hitbox. Okay, we're talking about recovery, once the move has already come out, how long does it take for you to start be able to move or control your character again? The reason why these things are important is because if you are defaulting to moves that don't allow you to move very quickly after pressing them, it allows your opponent to do a lot more to you. So it's a very difficult concept to understand, and I get that, and there's numbers involved and there's weird terminology, but it will take some time. However, once you start to understand that, it makes dealing with certain characters or dealing with certain quote-unquote spammable moves a lot easier. Okay, so this one is to keep in mind. May not come in right away, but with time, I would like people to beginners to integrate this more and more into their gameplay. The last piece of advice I have for you guys is to use the resources available. One of these very good resources that will allow you to learn the frame data and the on block stuff that I mentioned earlier in the video is Dust Loops. Now, Dust Loops is a site that takes for instance, let's say Guilty Gear Strive takes all the characters that are currently on the roster, and they take all of the moves, all of the frame data, all of the strengths, the pros, the cons of the character, and puts it all into one page. It even has combos for you, and it breaks down the combos exactly, very precise, so that you can understand them, and it's a very great resource to use. I'm going to link it down in the description so that you have access to it and you can try it out for yourself. Again, this is dustloops.com. And I also would recommend, if you're trying to look for the most optimal of optimal or very nuanced things, you can also go on to Twitter. Twitter is very, but you know how I feel about Twitter. But there is a hashtag, okay? So you'll put in hashtag GGST underscore the first 3 letters of your character. Okay, once you go ahead, the first 2 letters of your character. Once you've done that, you should be able to pull up a hashtag for your specific character, and you can see all of the things that the community has been cooking up together. Okay, now the reason why this is valuable and you won't find this on Dust Loops is because some of it is a little bit useless. Let's just be honest here. A little bit is useless, so you do have to be careful about it. However, you can find little treasure troves of information that will be very helpful to your progress and your learning progress. So that's all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching if you got this far. And once again, if you do enjoy the content, I gotta ask, just hit the sub, you know what I mean? Hit the little like button. I appreciate you hitting the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next one.